What's up, guys? Welcome to July 3rd as we dive into Proverbs chapter 30, where it talks about the sayings of Agur. The sayings of Agur, son of Jakeh, contain this message: I am weary, O God. I am weary and worn out, O God. I am too stupid to be human, and I lack common sense. I have not mastered human wisdom, nor do I know the Holy One. Who but God goes up to heaven and comes back down? Who holds the wind in his fists? Who wraps up the oceans in his cloak? Who has created the whole wide world? What is his name, and his son's name? Tell me if you know. Every word of God proves true. He is a shield to all who come to him for protection. Do not add to his words, or he may rebuke you and expose you as a liar. O God, I beg 2 favors from you. Let me have them before I die. First, help me never to tell a lie. Second, give me neither poverty nor riches. Give me just enough to satisfy my needs. For if I grow rich, I may deny you and say, Who is the Lord? And if I am too poor, I may steal and thus insult God's holy name. Never slander a worker to the employer, or the person who will curse you, and you will pay for it. Some people curse their father and do not thank their mother. They are pure in their own eyes, but they are filthy and unwashed. They look proudly around, casting disdainful glances. They have teeth like swords and fangs like knives. They devour the poor from the earth, and the needy from among humanity. The leech has 2 suckers that cry out, More, more. There are 3 things that are never satisfied. No, 4 that never say enough: the grave, the barren womb, the thirsty desert, the blazing fire. The eye that mocks a father and despises a mother's instructions will be plucked out by ravens of the valley and eaten by vultures. There are 3 things that amaze me. No, 4 things that I don't understand: how an eagle glides through the sky, how a snake slithers on a rock, how a ship navigates the ocean, how a man loves a woman. An adulterous woman consumes a man, then wipes her mouth and says, What's wrong with that? There are 3 things that make the earth tremble. No, 4 it cannot endure: a slave who becomes a king, an overbearing fool who prospers, a bitter woman who finally gets a husband, a servant girl who supplants her mistress. There are 4 things on earth that are small, but unusually wise. Ants, they aren't strong, but they store up food all summer. Hyraxes, they aren't powerful, but they make their homes among the rocks. Locusts, they have no king, but they march in formation. Lizards, they are easy to catch, but they are found even in kings' palaces. There are 3 things that walk with stately stride. No, 4 that strut about: the lion, king of animals who won't turn aside for anything; the stuttering rooster, the male goat, a king as he leads his army. If you have been a fool by being proud or plotting evil, cover your mouth in shame. As the beating of cream yields butter and strikes the nose causes bleeding, so stirring up anger causes quarrels. Proverbs chapter 31. The sayings of King Lemuel. The sayings of King Lemuel contain this message, which his mother taught him: O my son, O son of my womb, O son of my vows, do not waste your strength on women, on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, to guzzle wine. Rulers should not crave alcohol, for if they drink they may forget the law and not give just to the oppressed. Alcohol is for the dying, and wine for those in bitter distress. Let them drink to forget their poverty, and remember their troubles no more. Remember their troubles no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless and seek that they get justice. A wife of noble character. Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She finds wool and flax, and busily spins it. She is like a merchant's ship, brings her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her husband and plan the day's work for her servant girls. She goes to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She makes sure her dealings are profitable. Her lamp burns late into the night. Her husband are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisting fiber. Her hands are busy spinning a thread, her fingers twisting fiber. She extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arms to the needy. She has no fear of winter for her household, for everyone has warm clothes. She makes her own bedspreads. She dresses in fine linen and purple gowns. Her husband is well known at the city gates, where he sits with the other civic leaders. She makes belted linen garments and sashes to sell to the merchants. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty does not last. But a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. Reward her for all she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. And so that's the info today. It's a much shorter day, to be honest. Yeah, what we read is like a wife of noble character. Um, she is obvious somebody who, from a husband's perspective, from like all husbands' perspective, she's more precious than rubies, and that a wife should be somebody that her husband can trust, without having to live in constant distrust of what their wife may or may not do and things. So there's like this intentions of trust that needs to be built. Um, she brings good, not she brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. It's kind of like a job of a wife. I mean, it's job of both the wife and the husband, which is to bring good into each other's life, to enrich one another's life. It's not just the duty of the wife; it's also the duty of a husband. And then it kind of talks about her. She kind of makes the home comfortable, making breakfast, making food and clothing, to make sure that I don't know, I'm not fully understanding. I don't fully understand this proverbs and stuff. Um, but yeah, it also shows like she can't buy things. That she doesn't. It's not like trying to contain her into the house, if that makes sense. Like this proverbs kind of allows like wives to kind of go and buy things for the house, buy things for the family, and she is strong and energetic, a hard worker. making sure that whatever her dealings may be, that it may be profitable and stuff. Uh, yep, and then her character should be one that wants to help the poor and helping those who are in need. Um, and obviously taking care of the family and things like that. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. She speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. I don't know, it's like the part that really stood out to me is from that, it's like when she speaks her words. Wait, what was it? She is clothed with strength and dignity and laughs without fear of the future. It's, I don't know, it's like something that I think is really important within like a relation, within like a marriage. Is like you better find somebody who you can find a lot of joy in laughing with, joking about. At least like, well, from my, not only from my own family experience, but then also like as I've seen other families from my friends. I mean, maybe they do laugh when they are not around me, but like it just feels like there's like this really weird sense of having to perform, if that makes sense. Meaning like whenever I go to like a friend's house and stuff, yes, like the parents may or may not like may laugh a little bit, but it just feels like really dry laugh, if that makes sense. Like there's not like it doesn't feel like any of the laughs that I've heard recently has been like genuine, if that makes sense. It's like, and I feel like it's important that you be able to find somebody who you can laugh with. It's like laughter brings a lot of healing. It really helps to solidify one's relationship and things. And so I'm trying to think of like, it's kind of sad these days. It's like I've heard of stories, and I've witnessed, experienced parents or couples that like some of them are just genuinely don't know how to laugh, I guess. And so I kind of have to relearn the whole idea of what it means to laugh together, without just laughing, just to try to portray your relationship as something that's good when it may not be good, and things. But I don't really want to get too much into it since obviously I'm not a husband, so I have no clue. But it's just something like if I were to find a wife, that's something I want to prioritize, which is laughter, being able to laugh with somebody genuinely, not just laughing not just laughing as a way to perform or as a way to pretend like my relationship with my wife is good when it's actually not, and things. And also it's like laughter just means like enjoyment, enjoying each other's presence as well. But yeah, I didn't know that. Like I thought Proverbs are all written by King Solomon, but I guess not, because there talks about how there are some from Lemuel, and then also Acker, Acker. But yeah, Acker in the beginning it makes sense. It's like, we are all worn out, physically, spiritually. We kind of, and we don't like we kind of crying out to God to fill our hearts, help our hearts, give wisdom into our hearts, give strength to our hearts. And it just feels like this person really is kind of worn down, and he just asking God to give him strength, to give him wisdom. And he feels like and he feels too stupid to be a human, which I don't understand what that's trying to indicate. But and then he kind of just goes on describing who God is. a God who holds the winds in his fist, who wraps the oceans in his cloak, who created the whole wide world. What is his name and his son's name? Tell me if you know. I don't know what that last two part means, but but it's just like paints a picture of the power of God and things. It's interesting how this person, when he was praying about being rich and being poor, how he does not want to be poor, but he also does not want to be rich, because he says if he is rich, then there's a chance that he's gonna ignore God. He's saying, who is God, or forget the goodness of God. And he doesn't want to be poor because that he thinks that he's gonna steal and insult. Because of stealing, that's an insult to God's holy name things. And so we have to find that balance. It's like where you're not too rich, I guess. Where he doesn't want to be too rich, but don't want to be too poor. I don't think there's anything wrong with being rich. If you have like a self-control of still be able to praise God, still be able to put God first, there's nothing wrong with money. But like if you start to put money, if you start to put wealth ahead of God, then that's where it becomes a problem. Or if you try to find your identity in depending on how much you make, how much income you make, that itself is a problem as well. Because the only person you should be looking for your true identity in is Jesus. And so if you try to look looking for your identity in other things besides Jesus, then it tends to, your health will tend to go down physically and mentally and spiritually. And then he describes some people who curses their fathers, and not thanking their mother. They are filled with pride. They think they are pure from their own eyes, but in reality they are not as pure as they think they are. They look around proudly, and not really caring for the poor, for the needy, from among humanity. And he goes into this kind of sayings of like 3 things that are never satisfied, like 3 things of something, and then he says no 4 that never says something. So the first one talks about never like enough. He says there are 3 things that are never satisfied. No, 4 that never say enough: the grave, the barren womb, the thirsty desert, the blazing fire. I'm not really sure what the womb, I guess womb could be mean life, maybe. You could never have enough life. I don't know. I should probably look it up and stuff, but and it talks about how like the eye mocks a father and despises a mother's instructions, and it tells how they should like yank those things out. It's like there's like a high regard for obviously obeying and honoring your parents. I think we kind of all know. I think we all know that and stuff, but yeah, I'm not really too familiar with Proverbs 30 to 31, so maybe I should try to look it up a little bit, but may you guys go and walk with God.